If you sense any commentary in my tone, no, you don't. No, that's just what my face is always like when I discuss who won the Tonys and who didn't. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, all 10 of you who will actually click on this episode.
I think a lot of people will click on this, actually, because some fun feedback that I've gotten from our way too honest friends has been that the Amy episodes are always so good. Of anytime you love something, they are so dialed in of like, I love when Amy loses her mind.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm Amy Newman.
You get good feedback.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Chris Carr.
We're two filthy I'm so excited. We're two filthy casuals. We know that getting into new fandom can be intimidating, especially when every single project a creator has made sounds like a goddamn fever dream, and I'm well aware.
That's why on this podcast, we have a super fan come on, or Amy, and that way they can talk about their fandom. You can tip your toe in Stan's judgment? Stan's judgment.
Stan will judge us.
Yes.
With Stan's judgment.
With Stan's judgment, you're here.
Shut up, Stan.
God.
We're here today. I saw my moment and I seized it because I believe like right around when we started this, we made a list of things, of topics, of friends we had that were like, I know so-and-so would want to come on and talk about this, or somebody's mentioned wanting to discuss this to me. We also threw sort of our own, I would love to talk about this someday. And I believe, well, it's on the bottom of the list because for me it was a note of like, someday I want to call my shot of talking about the works of Dave Malloy. I am aware that is just like a composer who is, I mean, known. He's had a show on Broadway, somewhat niche even within a Broadway fandom community.
Yeah.
Because again, we're talking one actual show that has been on Broadway. He's recently done something for the National Theater. And then from there, it's like a fair amount of off-Broadway and smaller projects.
Yes.
And
yet.
So I saw my opportunity and I pounced. Because last week, and it was April 2nd, I checked my phone. Someone texted me about this news.
Ooh.
And I immediately got like emotional and hyped. Started my period today. So I was like, that's why I cried about this information. But you're welcome for that info. So now you can mark your calendars and the whole fandom can just sync up.
It's weird that we're not.
That we're not synced?
Yeah.
Honestly, listeners, if we synced up somehow via this podcast,
how powerful would you be?
I love when people who don't have periods find out that's real because it does sound completely fake.
Absolutely.
I feel like I know so many people who are like, wait, that's not a joke. Like, no, you absolutely can sync up.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really cute. I miss when I was on the pill and then my friends would sync up with me and I'm like, I'm the alpha.
Yeah.
Because mine doesn't move.
Yeah.
But anyways, enough about my reproductive cycles. A week ago, it was announced on April 2nd, thank God, because I was like, wait, was this announced yesterday? Because I will KMS, you know what I mean? Don't toy with me about this. Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton and In the Heights fame, and Moana and a bunch of things. Star of stage and screen at this point. Who also directed the excellent Tick, Tick, Boom movie musical, which I realized in discussing this news, a lot of people I know have not watched that movie.
That's wild to me.
Which, like, quick shout out to Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If you like Rent, it is the musical Jonathan Larson did before Rent. It stars a phenomenal Andrew Garfield, and Vanessa Hudgens is great in it. Go check that out. I believe it's on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
Lin-Manuel Miranda has announced that he is going to be directing Dave Malloy's Octet as a movie musical.
Which, topic-wise, I went, ooh.
Yes.
But
format-wise,
I went, huh. Because this is a chamber choir musical?
It's an 8-person musical, hence the name. Entirely a cappella as staged, which I hope they stick with for the movie because it's very cool how many different sounds they still create vocally. Set at a group for people with internet addiction.
Yeah.
Also, everyone in the show is based on a tarot card. It's not a big deal, but it is in there, and I just think it's very cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Right? So yeah, definitely an interesting pull. We'll get into this. There's works of his that I think, well, his show that actually went to Broadway, Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, is, I think, the one that people most go, not that? We're not going to do them. That feels more, because that's an adaptation of like 70 pages of War and Peace, but it's very sweeping. It's very grand. You could see a movie adaptation there a bit more, but I also don't see a way you could do Great Comet without a massive fucking budget.
Yeah. It's a period piece. It's a war piece. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, you don't act, it's much more the piece than the war.
Yeah.
The guy who's at war, he just comes back and he's like, you did what while I was gone? We'll get into it. But yeah, it's definitely an odd swing. I fully credit where credit is due. From what I have heard, I know for a long time there's been a very mutual admiration and respect between Lin-Manuel Miranda and Dave Malloy. I saw someone on Reddit saying, I worked at the theater where we staged Octet, and Lin-Manuel Miranda came multiple times. I think he's just genuinely a massive fan of this show. And I sort of get the vibe that this was a bit of his blank check project. And if that is true, that's just sort of the general consensus online. If this was partly his push to try to work with this material and do something with it, huge, honestly, gratitude on my end and just respect for Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is obviously, I would say, probably the biggest, most recognizable name of sort of present day, really millennial sort of working Broadway composers, to really uplift someone who I think has quietly been doing unbelievably good work for decades now, basically, and just, I think, does unique enough work that maybe hasn't quite caught the commercial lightning in a bottle that something like Hamilton has. Not that Hamilton isn't an incredibly good show as well. That's not me shitting on Hamilton. I'm just saying, Great Comet didn't do as well. That's just the fact of the matter. So I'm incredibly excited about that.
Do you think he's the right choice for directing this?
Based off Tick, Tick, Boom, I'm very open to that.
Cool.
I don't totally see how the movie of this works, but I think someone who's passionate about the work, someone who has proven they know how to translate musical to stage, or musical to film, rather, which is incredibly hard, and sometimes even great stage directors have proven that is not something that everybody can do. But based on Tick, Tick, Boom alone, and based on his passion for the work, clearly, I'm all on board for this.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
But I saw that news, and I was like, Chris, can I do a Dave Malloy episode? I really want to talk about this.
Hell yeah. And I went, I love that. So what do we need to know about Dave Malloy?
Oh, boy. Okay. So Dave Malloy... Where do we start? So there's about 5 shows that I feel like I'm going to get into more thoroughly, but on the record, he has been working since I believe about 2000 in San Francisco and then New York. He's from Ohio originally. Fucking shout out to people from Ohio.
Hey.
And but been working really fairly consistently, doing a lot of smaller stuff, partnering with different theaters and groups. There is, if you want to really deep dive into Dave Malloy, he is, in my opinion, just an incredibly gracious artist about sharing his work. Ooh. If you go on his website, you can find a lot of demos and clips from those he did a show called I think it's called Beowulf, 1,000 Years of Baggage, or what is it, Blue Wizard, Black Wizard, all this stuff or whatever it's called. All this stuff that's older 3 pianos, stuff that was done long before Great Comet, Ghost Quartet, stuff that people the musical theater girlies might know. You can still find a lot of that if you want to do the digging for it. I will also say, if you really want to deep dive Dave Malloy, and we'll get into this because there are some shows that are a little harder to crack, and he is also a very gracious artist. If you've ever been on the website Genius, It's annotated lyrics, and he has annotated a lot of his work. Ooh. And it is so cool to go through and just see how this person's mind works. That's because so the way his mind works fascinates me endlessly. He is my favorite living artist. Like, I'm really excited to get into this today.
Oh, yeah.
So that's who Dave Malloy is. So I guess we can start. We'll get back to Octet, I guess, more thoroughly.
Sure.
There's I believe it's about 5 shows I really want to get into that are the 5 I'm most familiar with. I think sort of the 5 that are easiest to find online. And I also did we'll link it, I suppose. I made a little playlist called Say Ahoy to Dave Malloy.
It's so cute.
That is obviously not going to give you the best way, I think, to really understand this guy's work is pick a show and listen to it. And be patient with it, because the first show of his I found was Great Comet, and I listened to it, and I was like, not for me, but okay.
And then
I went, well, that one song was good, and that song was good. Maybe I'll listen to it all the way through again, and then it was my favorite thing.
How'd you get introduced to him in the first place?
It was definitely Great Comet.
Was someone just like, I think this would be up your street, or were you just checking out new musicals?
I think it was just checking out new musicals. Okay. Shout out friend of the show, Holly Bechtel. She might have turned me on to Great Comet.
Holly has the best taste.
Holly, I'm sure you'll text me and be like, bitch, you know I did. Yeah. If I'm wrong about this.
Holly's a tastemaker, introducing us to musicals and anime.
An absolute tastemaker. Yeah, if Holly Bechtel, even if you don't know her, if she just reaches out and like, check this out. Just do it.
That's great.
Just do it. Great Comet was the first show of his I found. Again, I think that is sort of his most, certainly his most commercially successful show. I would argue maybe one of his more accessible shows. Mm-hmm. If you're a Patreon follower, you've already heard me cry about this show before. Yes. But to Cliff Notes it is an electropop opera based on 70 pages of War and Peace. Let's real fast.
Something that you just go, yeah, that seems like something you should adapt to an electropop musical. Yeah.
Take a drink every time I say a show concept that sounds like the weirdest shit you've ever heard in your life.
I think this is tea in here. I'm going to get loaded.
So that's one. Great Comet follows. So it's based on, again, more the piece of War and Peace. As you may have guessed, Natasha and Pierre. Natasha is a young girl who is engaged to a soldier named Andre, who is off fighting in the war part of War and Peace. She gets to go spend some time in the big city in Moscow. And while she's there, falls in love with a wealthy fuckboy named Anatole. Ruins her engagement, ruins her life. Meanwhile, Pierre, who is very much... Dave Malloy played Pierre originally. This was staged originally off-Broadway, transferred to a different off-Broadway space. I believe it was kind of a custom-built tent. Very sad I didn't get to see that version. That's cool. And then ultimately transferred to Broadway with Josh Groban, famously as Pierre. Mm-hmm. But Dave Malloy originally was Pierre. And you can tell, like, there's a lot of... I feel like a lot of Dave Malloy shows have the, like, oh, you're writing that just because that's some shit you wanted to say. And I think it's a lot of the beauty of his work as an artist. Pierre's sort of this aging by 1812 standards. Like, you read the book and it's like, oh, he's like 36. Everyone's like, that old man. You're like, excuse. But deeply unhappy in this incredibly unhappy marriage. His wife is pretty openly cheating on him, sort of at the end of the rope of his life. So it's this sort of aristocracy, Russia, all the comings and goings of these people as Natasha kind of implodes her life. Pierre's kind of imploding his life. By the end of the show, they sort of come together and find just this really lovely moment of hope in each other and in seeing something in each other, and I'm okay.
Getting it ready.
But it's really lovely. It's there are 2 recordings on Spotify. One is the off-Broadway cast with Dave Malloy. One is the Broadway cast with Josh Groban. I do recommend starting with the Broadway one. I think it's just a little more polished. Plus, it has Dust and Ashes, which is one of the best songs in the show.
That was my introduction to this whole musical.
Yeah, which insanely was not in the show. And then they were like, can you write something to showcase Josh Groban's voice? And he wrote a song that was like, how in God's name did we ever do this show without this number?
Dang.
And it's really good. So this show is very near and dear to my heart. I found it, got completely head over heels obsessed with it. Okay. So, couple of things happened with Great Comet. One that I'm still real bitter about is, and if you love Dear Evan Hansen, I'm not here to shit on you. All I'm here to say, I'm just going to state things that happened factually without, if you sense any commentary in my tone, no, you don't. No, that's just what my face is always like when I discuss who won the Tonys and who didn't.
Listen, we're not hard-hitting journalists here. I don't think anyone
Can I editorialize
that.
a little bit? Dear Evan Hansen swept at the Tonys.
Mm-hmm.
My personal belief is that there is nothing wrong with Dear Evan Hansen. It is a far more commercially sellable musical.
Which is kind of wild when you get down to the plot point of it, of just like,
if you're not familiar,
terrible.
Dear Evan Hansen about a boy, a man dressed as a boy,
a boy liar
who pretends he was best friends with a classmate who killed himself.
Yep.
And then tries to sleep with dead classmate's sister.
Yep.
But it's okay because he has anxiety?
You know, like what you do when you're a high schooler. And then the movie version has Ben Platt reprising his role.
Hunched over like it makes him look 17.
It's painful.
It's painful.
It's so bad.
It's rough. Not my favorite musical. Also Come From Away that year.
Oh.
I think even if you were going to give something else the best musical, I would at least go Come From Away.
Yeah,
but
it's beautiful.
Great Comet, I believe, only won lighting, which is a choice.
Yeah. It just goes waving through a window is catchy. And everyone likes to sing it.
Okay.
That was another one of those, like, you know how everyone sang Defying Gravity for their auditions?
Sure.
It became Waving Through a Window. But any gender did it too, where it was like, I'm going to be really cool and I'm going to sing Evan's song, even though I'm a lady. You'd be like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Choices were made. So that did not help. Again, you've heard the pitch. This is a hard musical to sell to. Let's say I'm coming from out of town and I'm like, I get to see one musical this year. I don't know a ton about Broadway. I'm not looking for anything. And I get it. Like, I feel like that's always said with such derision of like, well, Joe Schmo from Middle America. But also, I fucking get it. Like, This is my trip to New York. I have my fucking kids with me. I'm not going to go see an electro-pop opera based on War and Peace. Like, that's a tough sell. If there's something that was like Tony winning and feels like a sure shot, I get it. I get it. Broadway tickets be expensive as hell.
They are.
So that didn't help. Josh Groban was leaving the show. There was then a controversy, which I also I bring up in part because it's like it is what it is. It's no one's a winner here, right? This all sucks. I also think it becomes slightly relevant when we start talking about Octet. So basically, what happened is Josh Groban left the show as Pierre. The show pretty quickly realized they were kind of banking on Josh Groban as a name, as someone where maybe if you don't follow Broadway musical theater super closely, you're at least going, well, I like Josh Groban.
Yeah. I know that guy.
He can sing.
He sang in Polar Express.
Yeah, I do love Josh Groban. I love how much Josh Groban, I think we talked about this.
Oh, how much he knows he is just like a funny bit.
It's just like funny if Josh Groban shows up in something, and I love that about him. So he left the show. I believe they got Ingrid Michaelson in for a while as Sonia, one of the secondary characters. So they were like trying to figure out who else can we keep putting in this show. Right. I guess they were like, maybe we can just Chicago this to the end of time. Unfortunately, it is also a tougher sell than Chicago and a harder show than Chicago. No offense to all the Roxys who have stumbled through.
But vocally, I mean, this is demanding.
It's no joke. So they cast Okediere Onadowan from Hamilton, who was Hercules Mulligan in Hamilton in the original cast.
Okay.
So they cast him. He goes by Oak. they cast him as Pierre. Ticket sales weren't really picking up. They then made an announcement of, hey, Mandy Patinkin's is going to step in as Pierre, but due to his busy schedule, he is only available to step in briefly. Oak is going to step back, and Mandy Patinkin's going to take over the role for a limited run.
Okay.
I think a lot of the decision was realizing that, well, Hamilton in and of itself is a name. Outside of that show, I don't know that every single cast member had that, again, that like tourist ticket pull they were hoping for. And Mandy Patinkin is a bit more of a, Joe Schmo who doesn't know Broadway is going to know who that is. However, the optics of that were not great, of asking a Black performer to step back to, quote unquote, make room for a white performer. And people were not happy about that. This was very much in the like Twitter days too, where I do feel like, not that people were wrong to feel the way they felt about it, but it was a time where Twitter, I think, was very, very quick to grasp on something and not let it go.
Yeah.
And not have it be like, hey, producers made a shitty decision because they were looking at the bottom line of this. Mm-hmm. If you hadn't noticed by some of this conversation, I do think one very, very cool thing about Great Comet is it was completely colorblind cast. Any person of any race could step up and play these roles, which for a show set in 1812 Russia...
That's huge.
Was not what they had to do.
Yeah.
The original Philippa Sue from Hamilton was the off-Broadway Natasha originally, and then Danae Benton, an incredibly talented actress who's Black, was Natasha. And again, like, this is like one of those gorgeous classical ingenue roles that unfortunately a lot of more closed-minded casting on Broadway would have shut an actress like Danae Benton out of because of her race. So a lot of good stuff was done there. And I'm not speaking to people were wrong to be upset, but it was that frustrating thing of, but the show was trying and they made a mistake, but the acknowledgement of like, we're trying and we put like, the producers were looking at money and kind of put their foot in their mouths and this sucks, but people latched onto it. Mandy Patinkin stepped away. They announced the show was closing. Mm-hmm. And then all those really, really talented actors and artists behind the show were out of the job. When that announcement was made, I was hanging out with this guy at the time, and we were hanging out, but had not put a label on it, and neither of us wanted to make it weird and be like, I like you, by the way. Like, I would like to kiss you if that's cool. We were both just like staring at each other at the end of Hangouts going, okay, so I'll see you next time. Yep. I'm gonna get in my car. Oh, did you say? I'm gonna get in my car now. Okay, bye. So we were doing that. We were hanging out. I looked at my phone. I was like, motherfucker, Great Comet's closing on Broadway. He said, let's go see it. I said, I think you misheard me. It was on Broadway. He said, I've never been to New York. I then took that and ran with it and called him like 3 days later. And I was like, I'm going. Are you going? I was like, you're right. I need to go see this. Are you going? Yeah. And he was like, okay. And then I married that person. So that's
Rita. She did.
Rita, dear Penthouse. So that was my husband, Eric. When we got married, I did walk down the aisle to No One Else, one of the kind of big love song from Great Comet, which was very lovely and a cool full circle moment. But we got to go see it, and we got to go see it with Dave Malloy as Pierre, which was incredible. Nice. I met him after the show. I word vomited just at him so aggressively. And then he walked away, and then I started crying, and Eric was like, that's cool. And I was like, this could work. Like, you're not judging me?
This guy is great.
So that's sort of my saga with Great Comet. Beautiful musical, beautiful music, so weird, so life-affirming and lovely and complex. Again, if you're going to jump in somewhere, I think it's a stellar jumping off point. Be a little patient with it, but it's so good. I just saw last year a theater in Santa Barbara did it, and it was a very stripped down production because they like custom built out that theater for it too. So beautiful. But even seeing a stripped down production of it, it's like, damn, this material just holds the fuck up.
That's awesome. So then, because this caused you to kind of go down the Dave Malloy rabbit hole.
Correct.
Are there themes that you can kind of latch onto to each show? Because it's a wide variety of topics where some things are literary adaptations, some things are original works, some things are a cappella. Like, are there through lines that you kind of cling to as a Malloy head?
I mean, Dave Malloy's work, I would say a lot of themes of, I mean, kind of just that very human experience stuff runs through it, right? A lot of just things about identity, about feelings of depression, of hopelessness, of sort of this ego death and questioning of who we are and what our purpose is. A lot of themes, weirdly, doing like some re-listening to prep for this was like, oh, my man loves to talk about space and stars. A lot of that imagery, a lot of alcohol and alcoholism themes running through his work, and addiction themes, even with things like Octet and like how addiction can have a stranglehold on people. So that's some of the stuff in there. Yeah. Again, I think Great Comet's very much just a show about, again, identity, about finding hope, about sort of the transformative power of loving each other, about looking out for each other, about the ways in which we hurt each other, about sort of seizing the moment, but not doing it at the expense of other people's well-being. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that's in there. Then we get to Ghost Quartet, which in between runs of Great Comet, I believe he started working on and staging this. Okay. This is a 4-person musical with several of the performers from Great Comet are in this. So it was pretty custom written for Dave Malloy and then 3 other performers. Okay. Gelsey Belt, Britton Ashford, Brent Arnold, and to their specific skill sets.
Oh, nice.
So this is a 4-person musical. The 4 performers play every single instrument in the show. Whoa. And like, these people are insane. Mm-hmm. They play instruments where you're like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's so fun.
Gelsey Bell has, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, I want to say like a master's in vocal performance. Mm-hmm. The woman can do insane things with her voice. Mm-hmm. Like slightly terrifying things with her voice too. Okay. So very much written to just these performers' skill sets.
When you say terrifying, like she can control her vocal folds kind of shit? Or, because like that Tibetan...
Yeah, she can just make these very ghostly, creaky things that sound like it should be incredibly taxing on your vocal cords, but because of her training, she knows how to do it correctly and can do it 8 times a week if she needs to.
That's always wild to me.
It's wildly impressive. So this is a 4-person, I would say staged concept album more than narrative musical. Okay. It's a bunch of interwoven themes about ghosts, about storytelling, about, I believe the log line is sort of like about ghosts, death, and whiskey. Oh. Some of our storylines are, so it's sort of, oh goodness. Okay, for context, when I found Ghost Quartet, I was like, Dave Malloy has another musical. I should check that out. I was really tired. It was kind of mid-evening. I was like, I'm going to put some coffee on and check it out. I drank, for reasons I'm not quite sure, like a pot of coffee. I listened to Ghost Quartet. I was like, I'm confused, but I like it. I was like following along on the Genius. I hit like a couple songs from the end. I was like, wait, I think I get it now. I listened to it a second time through. I think that's when I finished the pot of coffee. I got done. I was so wired on caffeine and emotion. I went, I gotta go. I got in my car. This is like a decade ago now. I got in my car. I was just like, I just need to, I just need to, you know, I just need to. And I got in my car and I was like, I'm just going to start driving. I'm just going to start driving. I feel everything right now.
Damn.
And I just started driving. I was like, that was amazing. That's the best thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. I drove to the beach. I got out, I looked at the ocean for about 10 minutes, and I was like, I guess I'll go home. And then I went home and I went to sleep.
And honestly, that is the best pitch you can give people for moving to LA.
It was the most...
Do you feel feelings and want to see the ocean sometimes? Good.
It was the most positive nervous breakdown I've ever had in my life.
I don't think that was even a nervous breakdown.
I don't know.
It seemed like a lovely little moment for you.
I don't know what the fuck it was. It is an interwoven... A bunch of interwoven stories.
Okay.
And one thing I think did kind of help it click for me is one of the stories is sort of based on that 1001 Arabian Nights, like Scheherazade telling the stories thing. So it's sort of this idea of these interwoven stories. There's very much this theme of this idea of these two women who are Rose and Pearl kind of in one timeline, but throughout the story, they become, you see them as best friends, as sisters, as mother and child, as lovers. Like, it's sort of about relationships and the way we fuck each other up. If you read the genius annotations for this show, there are points where Dave Malloy's like, people ask me after the show if I believe in ghosts, and I think I make it very clear. Dave, if you're listening, nothing is clear to me about Ghost Quartet. I don't know what the fuck you think you made clear. My thesis about it, and I could be totally off of what he means here, to me it is a show about ghosts are not literally real, agree to disagree, but the way we affect and impact each other is.
Oh, see, I like that. As a Velma.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Because you're hot and wear glasses sometimes?
I was a non-believer, but thank you. That was nice. As someone who constantly goes, there's a reasonable explanation for this. Like, Meg's Bakery is supposed to be so haunted,
yeah.
and she tells me horror stories all the time, and I'm like,
here's my thing.
It's an old building.
Quick sidebar about ghosts. Mm-hmm. If they are real and you're saying that,
am I hurting their feelings?
That's what I think. And it hurts nothing to be like, maybe.
I've never had an experience, and I'm not going to poo-poo anyone else's, but also I'm just going to be Ted Lasso about it and be like, I think it's probably more important that they believe in themselves.
I believe I might have had experiences. I believe I have had experiences. And if not, I put my memory of someone on a random happenstance in my life. And again, I think that's very much at its core what Ghost Quartet is about, of we fuck each other up. We touch each other's lives. The way we fuck each other up echoes through our relationships the rest of our lives. Yeah. Stories in that show include, so it's kind of this Rose and Pearl thing. There's a storyline that's sort of based on Fall of the House of Usher. There's a storyline based on, if you've ever seen that really awful photo where someone was pushed in the subway tracks and someone took a picture right before they got hit by a train, and it brought up this whole conversation of like, was that right to do? Like, did they have a moral obligation to try to help? Could they have even helped? Was taking the picture wrong? Is that right? Damn. That's in there. Yeah, it's wild.
I don't know.
There's a bear who like tells her to get a bunch of shit. So
like a real bear?
So he'll kill her. Yep. Like at one point, there's like a love triangle between the two sisters, and she's like, I hate my sister. And the bear's like, go get all this shit. And it's very Into the Woods. Like, it's like a little nod to that of like.
love triangle with the bear?
No.
Okay, thank you.
It's with the astronomer. Come on, Chris. Because again, it's not a Dave Malloy musical if we don't have some references to stars and space.
Okay, that makes more sense. I just wanted to make sure no one was fucking a bear.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think anyone fucks the bear.
You don't think?
But there's so much going on in this show.
All right.
There's so much going on. I did see it. I have followed Dave Malloy kind of both directions across the country. From me in the Southwest here in Southern California, I have flown to New York and I've flown to Seattle to see him in things. So I did see the entire original 4 of them do Ghost Quartet in Seattle, which
very
was
cool.
Unbelievable. It's done in sort of this thrust stage setup. Dave Malloy gave me a shot of whiskey. It was the best moment of my life. Ghost Quartet, just go listen to it if this sounds cool. It's spooky. It's weird. It's really, really cool. There's an entire section of the show that's just performed in the dark. Ooh. It's so scary. It's so cool. And the ending of the show is one of my favorite things I've ever seen happen on stage. And again, this is a big piece of what makes me think the thesis of this show sort of is what it is, of this idea of like how we affect each other, how our stories affect each other, what we pass on to each other. Mm-hmm. Sort of this idea of that rings through the ending of the show, wherein the final song of the show is sort of this very simple folk song that ties up some of the plot of the show-ish in as much as you can. As they're singing it, it's this very repetitive, like, little 4-line thing. It sort of builds with all 4 of them, and then they start handing off instruments. They literally go to the audience. There's moments throughout where you get like percussion or whatever, but they literally, like, we were sitting on the floor in the front, and they came up and they put, I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry, Britt Ashford. I don't know what you gave me, but thank you. It was so magical. But it, this like stringed instrument, and to the rhythm of the song, she showed me like bing, 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 and then like kind of gestured for me to do it. And they were doing that with different instruments throughout the aisle, giving people percussion, giving people little stringed things to play. Mm-hmm. And then they slowly started leaving. And slowly all 4 of them filter out of the theater. And suddenly it's just the audience playing the song.
Oh.
And as the audience, you kind of get to, I gave myself goosebumps. You get to end the show. Okay. But it's also this idea of like, we're leaving you with this. We told this story. We're leaving you with the instruments, with the melody. Mm-hmm. We don't need to be here for what we made to still be here. And now it's yours.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that amazing?
That's very cool.
And so, like, as the audience, we just, like, played a little more and then sort of wound it down. And, like, that was the end of the show.
Dang.
But I just think it's such a beautiful, powerful way to end that.
Do they come and collect your instruments? Or?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I still have it. No, I'm sure they're very expensive.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
So that's Ghost Quartet.
Okay.
In as much as one can summarize Ghost Quartet. Octet, we touched on a little bit. Mm-hmm. This comes later in the, Preludes is in there too. Preludes is beautiful. I highly recommend checking it out. It is hard to find a lot of information on Preludes. It is, let me confirm the exact, because the pitch for it is one of those like, sure, you put it in better words than I did, Dave. So it is, and I quote, a musical fantasia set in the mind of Rachmaninoff in his hypnotized mind. So basically, it's the composer Rachmaninoff, the Russian composer. Oh, Russia, too, if it's Russian. And he loves doing some Russian shit in there.
Is he Russian at all, or is he just fascinated
by it? I don't know. I never asked.
When he gave you that shot, you weren't like, Dave, baby, Dave, my pal, my guy. You Russian?
Pause the show. It was in the middle of the show. Oh, that's part of the show that they give out whiskey.
That makes much more sense.
I made it sound like he was just like, hey, come here.
You look like you need to wet your whistle. Have some whiskey with me.
No, there's a song about whiskey. It's on the playlist.
I didn't get to listen to all of it. I jumped around. I made sure I listened to the Octet ones, so we could talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda. And then I listened to The Dust and Ashes. And then the first 2 songs, I can't remember those names, from 18, the comic.
Yeah. There's a song about whiskey, and they give you shots of whiskey.
That's fun.
It's really fun.
I like that.
But that's when I got whiskey. I did not clarify that well.
Okay.
So Preludes, really interesting show about Rachmaninoff sort of suffering some personal failures, coming to this artistic block, coming to a depression, and going through hypnotherapy to try to unpack some of that. A little hard to get the exact nitty-gritty of what's going on there, but especially if you like classical music, it incorporates a lot of that into the show. Some really cool reworkings of some of those pieces, some really cool numbers in there, so check that out on Spotify if you want to. Oh, Ghost Quartet, also a live album and a studio album on Spotify. I like both. My favorite character in Ghost Quartet is the guy on the live album who laughs a little too hard at everything that's remotely a joke. He just has this really loud, like, it's great. I love him. So that's Preludes. Then we come to Octet. So that was done in 2019. That's the 8-person a cappella, set it a group for people with internet addiction. One thing I think is, and part of why I brought up the whole story, is with Octet, so each character kind of is a different piece of this discussion. You get this idea of people on different sides of a woman struggling with internet dating, kind of counterbalanced by a guy very much on that incel porn addicted side of the internet, and what are some of the implications of that, and what are some of the ramifications of that. One thing that rang very personal to me when I heard the show, I'll just put that anywhere, is there's an entire song of a woman. They never specify exactly what she does beyond, I'm sure you've seen my white woman goes crazy video. And again, this was 2019, where I feel like we were really leaning into the, we love destroying a Karen.
Mm-hmm.
We love looking her up. Like, not, and again, like, I'm not saying this is entirely a bad thing, but it was a time where, like, a national pastime became, let's find a Karen, let's find a video, let's contact her work, let's ruin her life.
Yeah.
And so I think there are a lot of shades in that piece about some of his own experience of how much people were putting their own assumptions on him with the Great Comet cancellation, and how much that did jump to, this is this issue, this is that, where realistically Dave Malloy probably had zero control over any of those decisions, but his name is so tied to it that I'm sure he got a lot of, and he's basically said he got a lot of hate about what happened. So unpacking some of that, and again, right or wrong, but even just dealing with this idea of this all happened too fast. Our fledgling empathy has not developed in time with the way the internet has, right? This idea of every tragedy in our lives being blasted into our face while we're lying in bed with our partners. Like, what does that mean? How does that affect us? One thing I do really love about Octet, there's a number of a woman who is self-harming and really lonely and in a really dark place, and finds a friend, and
it's beautiful.
Starts to see the beauty in herself through seeing the beauty in this other person. So it's not internet bad. It's internet is more than I think we were mentally ready for, and truly Pandora's box is open, and how do we handle that?
Yeah. That song is heartbreaking. That was the one, because listening through it, it was, these are really beautiful and this is so interesting. And then hearing that, especially since there's no backing track to it, is so powerful and so relatable. Because everyone has that moment of, I feel terrible in my body and I don't like who I am. And this other person feels the same way, but somehow thinks I'm beautiful and wonderful and worth being here. Yeah. It's a lovely look at how complicated.
Also very great comment coded too, of like two people in a very rough spot going, well, I love who you are and I see hope in you, so why not in me?
Yeah.
Kind of affording ourselves the grace that we afford others, I think is a big theme there. So really great show. Look it up. That is going to be a movie. I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. I don't remember which came first. He did The Witches, which is an adaptation of the Roald Dahl book for National Theatre in London. I just listened to that recently. It's really cute. Probably his most traditional score. If you are looking for something more like, I like kind of my musical theater a little less funky. He did like a 3-hour Moby Dick musical that I can't find. I've only found a couple songs from.
That's wild.
Yeah. Dude's nuts. I love him. I love the way his brain works. It's so weird. And then one of his most recent shows I found it's called Three Houses. It is it's sort of framed as an open mic post-COVID, with 3 people unpacking their experience of living alone after a breakup during the pandemic. Ooh. I am not here to dig up his dirt, but I do know Dave Malloy did go through a divorce, I believe around that time, if my math is correct.
Dang.
It's incredibly vulnerable. It's also loosely based on the Three Little Pigs, which is fun.
Oh.
There's like a big bad wolf character who kind of represents a lot of different things. And then there's like one of them is in the woods. One of them is in New Mexico in an adobe house, which would be straw. And then one of them is in like a brick basement in New York.
Oh, dang.
So that's fun.
It's very fun.
It also makes me cry harder than anything, maybe ever. It just...
More than Paranorman?
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I almost had to pull off a freeway. I was crying, so I was like, I'm going to check this out on my way to work. And I was like, I need to pull the fuck over.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of unpacking about that feeling of what if I'm too broken to be loved?
Oh.
And there's a song in there called The Berries and the Plums where a woman kind of realizes, oh, this is in my family. This is sort of a lineage of this that was passed on to me, and like finding that post-divorce. And it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's really lovely. It's really well done. Bring some tissues, but it's good stuff. And it's, again, a weird, like, I didn't think I even really wanted content about 2020, close to 2020, but I actually find it very cathartic to help unpack some of that. That and Bo Burnham's Inside. I'm like, you two can stay. Everybody else with your pandemic screenplays, fuck it.
No, get out of here. I don't want to see you all acting on Zoom together. Get out of here. He seems to tap really well into the human experience, though, and those they feel unique to you, but they are so shared, where I think every single person, even the most confident person you know, has had that moment of, I am too much and not enough for everyone.
Yep. And I think that's all this to say. Thank you for bearing with me. I don't know if I rambled through any of that, but all that to say, I think what really speaks to me personally about Dave Malloy and why I'm so moved by his art and why I consider him my favorite living artist, his brain works in a crazy town way, right? He comes up with things that you could give me come up with 1 million ideas, and I'd never come close to any of the things he came up with.
Yeah.
And it just seems so organic and so true to him. But within concepts that feel esoteric and weird and highbrow and complex is this incredible humanity. He's an artist where I remember when I found Great Comet, and I remember I found Ghost Quartet, and just this almost vulnerable feeling. I think we all have an artist who makes us feel that way, that almost vulnerable feeling of, oh God, don't say that so loud.
Yeah.
Of how dare you say my secret thoughts so loud for everyone to hear. And that's how Dave Malloy's work makes me feel within these packages that are a madman's brain, like a mad genius's brain. But just this incredible heart and humanity and vulnerability and honesty packaged within the work of someone who I think is just so incredibly intelligent and unique in the way he expresses himself.
It's lovely.
And he's going to do a Black Swan musical, so that's probably going to bang. That's probably going to slap.
That's wild. It's been a big week of Dave Malloy news.
I'm really excited.
That
was announced a while ago. I think I just forgot.
Casting came up 4 days ago.
Yes,
though. That's why I was like, what is happening? Because when I was trying to do the tiniest bit of research, so I wouldn't just be like, huh? The entire time on this episode, I was like, man, everything's coming up Newman. Look at her. She's having a great time.
Look, I guess if it's my career or his, go for it, Dave.
With the movie, just since that is like the most recent news, is there anything that you need to have in this? Any expectations you have? Or are you just kind of here to see what they do?
I hope they keep it a cappella.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing I feel really strongly about.
I feel like
I feel like they wouldn't dare mess with that idea. But otherwise, I don't know. Because when I heard the news, I was like, I can't picture that. But I'm ready.
Sweet.
I'm excited. And I'm really thrilled to see this person hopefully continuing to get the recognition they deserve. Because I do think they've just been quietly working on so much good stuff for so very long. And again, we're like scratching the surface on his work. But those are kind of the big ones that are most easily accessible on Spotify. Again, I'll link that playlist if you want to just get a little smorgasbord or whatever the Russian word would probably be more appropriate. But it's okay. I'm not asking you to know it.
I'm sorry, I was trying. I was really digging through
went
there.
into your mind palace.
I've lived in the Valley for so long. I should know. Yeah. So many people, Russian people specifically, yell at me because they think I'm Russian. Really should learn that in Spanish. If you fall in love with Dave Malloy's music, what other things would you recommend? Is there anything like him, or is he pretty singularly unique?
Dave Malloy. I mean, I can't imagine if you're doing this deep dive and you don't know, like if this is a first foray into musical theater, it feels like a silly, like, have you heard of Sondheim? He's pretty good. But like, if you like this kind of complexity in your musical theater, I think Sondheim is obviously a huge influence on his work. So, hot take. Not bad, that Sondheim.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
If you like music but you don't like breathing, Sondheim. It's a good one. Yeah. Well, any other closing thoughts on this one? Anything else people need to know?
Go listen to Dave Malloy, or don't. If it's not for you, that's fine too. But if anything I said sounded like anything you might like, go check it out. I think he's really brilliant. I really love the way his brain works. Go get out of bed and be the star child you can be, to quote Ghost Quartet.
Ooh. Have your pot of coffee and you drive to the beach.
That. That was me being the star child I could be.
Yeah.
Just like shaking at the Pacific Ocean, like, I feel everything. I didn't know I could have this many feelings at once.
Man, who needs drugs when you've got Dave Malloy and caffeine?
Oh, baby, I was
cheaper option.
tweaking. What a day. Been chasing that high ever since.
Man. Well, Amy, where can the people find you?
Oh my goodness. If you want more, and shout out to everybody who was ever drunk with me between like 2016 and 2018, because you've heard this exact spiel once already. Just in a bar, like, let me tell you about guy. So good. You can find me on Instagram at amy.n.newman. And I guess TikTok, the same place if I use it. You can catch me on Legacy of Fools every Tuesday. We're at Legacy of Fools on all the things. On Twitch doing D&D. At Pleather Comedy, come see an improv show. But more importantly, like I said, I think I've made my deal with the devil, and it's go listen to Dave Malloy. I want Dave Malloy to be powerful and important.
Head downstairs and go listen to that playlist. When I say downstairs, I mean the comments.
And then go listen to whichever show you like the most.
Yeah,
because
let us know.
It's their amuse-bouches, if you will. Thanks for letting me do this. Thanks for letting me get it all out.
Of course. If you love hearing us talk about things that we really enjoy, if you want more deep dives from either Amy or myself, head on over to Patreon. We do 2 episodes a month, bonus episodes, for just $5 a month. You could be getting us and our unfiltered, unhinged thoughts.
I really thought I could keep this under 45. I really thought.
Nah. When we were at like the 27 Market comment, I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
I gotta edit myself. It's fine.
You can follow us on YouTube. If you are already watching this on YouTube, please like it. Make sure you're subscribed. Share it with a friend. If you are listening to this wherever you get your podcasts, again, subscribe. Hit us with a comment. Hit us with a lovely review. Give us all those stars.
If you're not on YouTube, you're missing my sweet Ghost Quartet shirt. Oh, there he is. He's sitting down at the bottom.
Hey.
That's Dave Malloy. This also glows in the dark. So.
Oh. Well, we got to wrap this up so I can kill the lights.
Thank you for being here, all 8 of you. Until next, they're going to be like, who the fuck? Until next time, I'm Amy Newman.
I'm Chris Carr.
And if you followed this fandom, you'd be home by now.
Okay, and just go.